Alright, Mind Over Matter, EK Inquisitor 3.0 quick build guide. Let's do it. We're hopping right into a map to show off the build. It's a temp chains map, but we've got some combs roots, so we're good to go. But yeah, EK as Inquisitor or as Pathfinder, this build could be done pretty much the exact same as a Pathfinder. It's definitely alive and well in 3.0. However, with the changes to CI, ES nerfs, especially the Vol Pact nerf, it doesn't seem very safe running it on Energy Shield anymore. But thanks to a lot of buffs to things like Mind Over Matter, you can get pretty tanky anyway, and you still zoom through maps no problem. As you can see, I'm doing a temp chains map, and I'm actually entirely immune to the temp chains effect. It's actually a buff because it's making my buffs last longer without slowing me down. And you just cruise through. Even with the EK dual nerf, which was nerfed from 10 extra projectiles to 5, it doesn't make too big of a difference. The only thing you're going to notice, which is the case for most builds, is single target is a bit rough on the new map bosses. But I'm pretty optimistic that with the actual launch, with getting better gear first of all, and especially the shock and chill changes, bosses should go a lot more smooth than what you're probably about to see right here. Since I'm not shocking them at all, but on the live servers I would be able to shock them pretty easily with the Fizz to Lightning plus crit damage coming in. There you go. Overall, pretty quick mapping, pretty smooth. So let's go into the gear. It is a Mind Over Matter build, so you're looking for things like life and mana on your rare items. And as far as uniques go, I'm running an Essence Worm to let us run Hatred and our Herald of Ice. You can see I'm reserving a little bit of mana on the Herald. Having both of those is very important. I have a Karui Ward, which gives you a lot of your prod speed. For clear speed, gives some move speed to make up for your boots not having any. And since they're very common, you can actually corrupt them and get pretty powerful corruptions like damage taken gained as mana, as you can see here, or you can get +1 frenzy charge or plus attack speed, things of that nature. But aside from those, you're pretty much going to want to be wearing all rares. I'm using Skullhead as my helmet. It's a really good starter helmet, but ultimately you would replace it. Shield, you want some life mana spell damage, maybe spell crit. Your other ring, life mana res as much as you can get it. And then we have the Combs Roots, which give us a whole bunch of life. They give us freeze immunity, chill immunity, temp chains immunity, stun immunity, and since it's a unique item, it's very easy to farm for a lab enchant, which you're going to want to get some damage leached as life and mana if you've killed recently. And then for weapon, you just want a generic crit weapon. Mine doesn't have crit multi, which is really important to have for sure, and it's a lot of the damage I'm missing. But that about is what you're going to be looking for gear. Maybe endgame you drop these gloves for something like Adziri's Acuity, so then you have instant mana leech on top of your instant life leech, and you can drop Vol Pact. But let's get into the gems. EK setup is mostly unchanged. I'm working with EK, Crit Strikes, Spell Echo, Pierce, Fizz to Lightning, and Faster Proj. You could actually drop Faster Proj for Slower Proj for bosses, but I just haven't bothered doing it in the beta at all. Other than that, we've got Herald of Ice with Curse on hit, Warlord's Mark. This helps with a lot of the sustain for life and mana, especially mana. Shield charge setup. And then here we have Vol Haste with increased duration, and then also Immortal Call and Arcane Surge are in this setup, which I'll hop into an instance real quick to show it off since I didn't go over it in the map. But Immortal Call's increased duration per charge actually affects Arcane Surge duration and lets you get super long durations on your Arcane Surge. So you can see I have 3 endurance charges. When I pop this Immortal Call, I have Arcane Surge for 22 seconds. And that's granting a good 12% more spell damage, 12 cast speed, and some mana regen, so that works really well together. Then we have cast when damage taken, Warlord's Mark again. You have 2 sources of Warlord's Mark just to make sure it's on as many enemies as possible. This really helps to get it on your bosses. And the other Immortal Call. And for flasks, Quicksilver of Adrenaline at Zeri Flask. Granite Orb, this should be a Basalt. Ideally, this would actually be a Taste of Hate, but they're kind of expensive. I didn't feel like pushing money for it on the beta. But getting a Taste of Hate will be a big damage boost. And then Diamond Flask, Onslaught Flask. Even though I'm a life build, I'm not using a life flask. I haven't felt the need to use a life flask at any point, really. The build seems plenty safe without it. Into the tree. We are an Inquisitor, so we've got Inevitable Judgment, Ignore, Res, Instruments of Virtue for the attack speed, cast speed, damage, and Augury of Penitence for the increased damage taken on enemies. For the rest of the tree, it is a Mind Over Matter tree, so you've got the Mind Over Matter, you've got your spell crit. Mostly straightforward stuff. I'll post a link to the tree in the description. The only things really worth noting that are that special are Ring of Blades, obviously you need it, and I'm running an Intuitive Leap right here to grab Overcharge. This is what was giving us the Frenzy and Power charges. And then you also get to grab Melding for a nice 6% life node and Dreamer for a whole bunch of mana. This is definitely going to be really powerful, not just for this build, but for a lot of Mind Over Matter builds in general, throwing this down right here. And then, I don't have Crackling Speed yet, but with the most recent announcement of how Shock is going to work in 3.0, getting a little bit of lightning damage plus the crit multicast speed is definitely going to be something you want to look for early on. Probably have this around level 85 or so. And other than that, it's mostly just missing some jewel sockets here and there. And for leveling the build, pretty much the same as always. Level with Flame Blast Totems, Firestorm Totems, whatever your caster leveling setup of choice is. I like Flame Blast Totems. Makes everything really easy. Helps you get up to the EK as soon as possible. And I will also put a link to a leveling Flame Blast Totem tree in the description. And I think that about covers it. If you've got any questions, make sure to leave them in the comments. I'll try to answer them to the best of my ability. And I hope you guys enjoy the build, because I think this is what I'm going to be starting 3.0 with, and it's looking like it's going to be a ton of fun. So thanks for watching. See you guys next time.